have problems like this light bill do. I feel like that's why we're stressed the hell out as a generation. If you don't have selfish children, okay, great, you're doing a wonderful job. It's your girl Ashe, back at you with another episode. This is the Sim with Ashe, a sacred space where we explore the depths of freedom and personal growth. I'm your guide, Ashe, and today's episode centers on the profound significance of nurturing kindness through the art of giving. Let's go ahead and get it. Let's go. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, be sure to subscribe baby, and give this video a big thumbs up and comment down below and let me know that you enjoyed this video. Let me know whatever comes to your heart or your mind, any advice that you have for anyone in the comments or for me, okay? And let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. Ashe. Rich rising, good morning, grand evening, wherever you are in the world. Good evening. Hey friends. So today's episode is going to be a little different today, you guys. It is like 4 o'clock in the morning and I am literally, let me paint the visual for you guys. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Spirit literally woke me up at 4:44 and I am in the garage inside of my car. Recording this episode, y'all, because the house is so quiet because everyone is still sleeping. But Spirit was like, get up, I got a message for you. And I was like, okay, bet, can I have some coffee first though? But we're getting it in. Today's episode is going to be a little different today, you guys. Today, you know, ignore the raspy voice. Please, y'all, just gotta get this message out though, y'all, okay? But today's message, we're gonna start off with the Six of Pentacles, okay? And I may put the Six of Pentacles on the screen. So today we're gonna be reading what the Six of Pentacles represents, and don't click out, okay? Don't exit out of this episode, y'all. I promise I'm going somewhere with this, okay? So Six of Pentacles in tarot holds both practical and esoteric significance. On a practical level, it often signifies generosity, charity, and the giving or receiving of material assistance. However, in esoteric and spiritual terms, the card goes beyond mere material exchange and dives into deeper themes. 1. Balance. 2. Karmic justice. 3. Spiritual charity. 4. Inner and outer wealth. 5. Gratitude and reciprocity. So I'm not going to read the in-depth of this, okay? But the Six of Pentacles is about giving and receiving, a harmonious distribution of our resources. So it's pretty much about giving and receiving and the need for balance in that, okay? And so oftentimes when I talk about the Six of Pentacles, you know, when I'm doing a reading for a client, I am, depending on, you know, if it's reverse or upright, I'm talking about whether or not they are receiving what they're giving in their relationships, receiving what they're giving in their job, receiving what they're giving in, you know, any different, you know, scenario in life, and the balance between those things. And so today we're going to talk about nurturing kindness through the art of giving. I think as a generation that had to serve so much as children, that we felt like slaves, we had to take care of our siblings. We had to cook our own food. We had to make sure that we got in the house safely because our parents were working. We had to clean up everything in the house before our mom got home. Sometimes, you know, cook dinner, or, you know, even just get the meat out and make sure it's thawed out before our mom came home, or, you know, so many different things, you know. I think that a lot of us felt like slaves. Right? And I'm saying this because I'm speaking from the perspective of a lot of the friends that I had as a kid. A lot of the friends that I had as a kid, you know, because a bit about me is I grew up with my grandmother. I can't say that I felt like a slave, but I'm speaking from the perspective of a lot of my peers growing up, because, you know, growing up with my grandmother, I didn't have any responsibilities. I didn't have to clean. I didn't have to cook. We didn't have chores growing up. My grandma was a Virgo sun, Virgo moon, and a Virgo rising. Okay. And pretty much what that means is her way was the only way. And I am going to get it done myself because I want it done a very meticulous way. And yeah, you're not going to clean the kitchen like I like it to be clean. So just get out of my way. You're not going to cook the way that I like to cook. So get out of my way. You're not going to, so me and my sister, we didn't have a bunch of like responsibilities and chores. And because I had the privilege of growing up with my grandmother, I had the honor of always having her at home. She was always at home. Okay. Always. There were few times where we were ever at home alone. I never had to come home and clean up anything or cook dinner. Every time I can remember, I would walk in the door of the house, I can smell like some good southern food cooking. Like, oh, what is it? It's greens, cornbread, and what else? Like, that was my experience. So speaking on today's, topic, that has shaped me in a very specific way as well. So, sometimes our parents, they feel like they're sheltering us and they're keeping us away from certain things. And in actuality, it's harmful, right? But anyways, so back to the message. So I think as a generation, like I said, a lot of my peers, we had to serve, so much as children that, we felt like slaves. And our parents, they abuse their power and authority because of stress, because of financial hardship and a lack of reciprocity from their parents, a lack of integrity from their parents. And so it was kind of like, you think that your mama dogged you out. Imagine how her mom did her. You think you was slaving when you was a kid. Imagine how her mom did her, because, as the generations progress, certain things are just passed down to where, I know, for example, that our parents, they really didn't care about your feelings or your emotions or what you're going through, or you're depressed, or, they thought those were little mediocre things, and so then our parents having us, they instill that same kind of, relationship as far as open communication. And they really viewed the children in the home as an extension of adulthood in a way. And so a lot of my peers, I noticed that they felt like they had to grow up fast because, their mom had to work to pay the bills, or, this energy of like, you don't have problems, I have problems, like this light bill due. Oh, what do you mean you sad? Is food in the refrigerator? What do you mean, you're unhappy? That TV turns on, doesn't it? And so again, our parents, they subconsciously, abused, that authority that they had over us. And so that has subconsciously taught us, my generation, okay, I'm a 90s baby, that subconsciously taught us to serve our children and not teach them to give. And I feel like, y'all bear with me, I feel like that's why we're stressed the hell out as a generation with the selfishness within our children. Now, if you don't have selfish children, okay, great, you're doing a wonderful job. Comment down below, let us know how you do it. Okay, but if I'm just being real, okay, and these kids, they're selfish. And I feel like this was a very important topic to talk about, because this is Christmas time where they're in this space to where they just know, like, they're receiving. The kids, they don't have a job to buy you anything for Christmas, right? And Christmas is not really that important, per se to me, because I grew up Jehovah's Witness, so I never celebrated Christmas. We never had Christmas, ever. We never had Christmas. We never had Thanksgiving. We never celebrated birthdays or anything. So holidays really, they don't do it for me. I just do it just because, right? It's not about the celebration of the pagan holiday. Some people, they just get so self-righteous, and baby, some people just too woke for me. Okay? Some people just too woke for me. But anyway, Christmas, right? So I think that around this time of year, this is the perfect episode, to shine a light on the art of giving, And so Teaching our children the importance of giving is extremely valuable. And I want to go even deeper than this, you guys, because like I said, today's card of the day is the Six of Pentacles. And so the Six of Pentacles is not only talking about the giving and receiving of physical things, of, tangible things, but it's also about the giving and receiving of the unseen, things outside of the material world. And so it's about the embrace of balance between, sharing our blessings and accepting help when it's needed. It's about generosity and philanthropy and, the importance of using our resources to benefit both our parents and others, right? The importance of using our resources to, help us to see how we can share our abundance with compassion and acknowledging that giving and receiving, are cycles of life, And so again, if we reflect on our past, I feel like naturally, even though I'm not saying, we didn't have issues growing up, our parents were perfect or anything like that. Obviously, bitch, I was living with my grandma. Okay. I was not living with my mom or my dad, and they were both able-bodied human beings to take care of me and my sister, but they did not. Okay. So, I'm not saying that our parents were perfect, but what I am saying is that I feel like we were more kind-hearted than our children are these days. Let me know in the comments, you guys, if it's just me and I'm just rambling on about my own little stuff. But I would go out of my way to, do y'all remember we would get macaroni to make arts and crafts and stuff like that for our parents? My boyfriend was telling me about Mother's Day, how him and his brother, they went to go out in the neighborhood and cut yards because they had to get their mom something for Mother's Day. They went to go cut. I know we live in a different time, okay, but they went out. I don't remember how old they were, but they went out to go and cut yards because they had to get their mom a Mother's Day gift. Okay. And they went to Walmart and I think got her a nice necklace or something. I forgot how much, but it's just the act of kindness. And I can remember doing things to show my appreciation for my grandma. I would, clean the kitchen or, make arts and crafts, cards and things like that. And I would just find ways to show my love and appreciation and my gratitude for her, and I know that my peers, for the most part, we're doing the same thing. We knew how to show our parents that we loved and we appreciated them beyond the material things. And let's be real about it. Our parents weren't even giving us just the top notch anything. They weren't just, I don't know about you, but me, I didn't have Jordans and I didn't have the latest tech or, we didn't even really have tech like that then, but I didn't have fancy clothes and, I didn't have those things, but yet and still, I felt it in my spirit that I had to honor and I had to show appreciation. I had to, give respect in a sense to my grandmother. And I feel like a lot of my peers, we were the same. We were literally like little adults. Okay, let's talk about it. But I feel like these kids these days, when I am, observing our children today, it is so apparent that they're focused on themselves more than ever before. And even, in my personal journey, you guys, I was listening to something yesterday and they were talking about how, our kids, they just get up from the table. We clean their plate for them. We clean their room. We do this and we do that. Oh my God, this conversation is so layered, y'all. I'm going to try not to make it long because I can go on and on about some other stuff. But let me stay on topic. But, they were talking about that and it made me think about my difficulties that I have right now raising my son. My son's 14, and I find that he doesn't really help around the house. And when we have family meetings, a big thing that I am bringing to his attention is, cleaning up the kitchen, cleaning up his bathroom, keeping his room clean, organizing his clothes and just the little stuff. I'm not even asking him to cook dinner. And he's smacking his lips, looking at me like I'm asking him to fucking redo the roof right? Like, and it made me really think about some of the issues that my personal friends, confide in me about issues that they're having with their children. And the question is, why? Why? I think that teaching our children about giving helps them get a deeper spiritual aspect of who they are on this journey. Because nobody comes into this life selfish, right? They don't come into this life selfish. That's what's acceptable, right? They do what's acceptable. We did what was acceptable as kids. And so they're only doing what's acceptable. And why is it acceptable? And so this opens the doors to us not wanting to ruin our kids. Like it's okay, baby, I got McDonald's money. Because, our parents were always like, McDonald's who got McDonald's money? Who got Happy Meal money? Not me, right? And so I know that I was just like, yeah, when I have kids, I'm gonna always have McDonald's money. When I have kids, I'm gonna always get them the best shoes. When I have kids, I'm gonna make sure their room looks amazing. When I have kids, I'm not gonna make them slave. I'm gonna let them be kids. I'm gonna make sure that they don't feel like slaves, I feel like this was a big thing for us growing up. And now look at us. Now look at us, y'all. Stress the hell out. Stress the hell out doing everything by ourselves. While our children see nothing wrong with it. So it made me look back on my childhood. One, for me personally, I told you about my situation. It made me look back on my childhood like, Grandma, I love you. I love you so much, and I appreciate you for cleaning and cooking and doing all the things for me. However, now I'm walking around here being, my son's slave. Now I'm the slave, Now I'm cooking and cleaning and doing everything. Y'all, it was so bad for me, that, I would come home, like I didn't clean my room from school, and I would come home and my grandma, because she didn't have anything else to do all day, my room would be clean. Like I had a maid, y'all. And I know that's not everybody's situation, but I feel like, my personal experience growing up really, affected or impacted the way that I parent today. Because I find myself doing the same stuff. I find myself being happy when my son comes home from school because I work from home. I find myself being happy that when he walks in the door, he smells good Southern food cooking. He just comes home with no responsibility. And I'm like, you ready to eat? How was your day? And he just goes into his room and goes into La La Land, and I'm up serving. Tired. And I noticed something. He never really asked me how my day was. I'm just being real. He never really asked me how my day was. Hey, Mom, how was your day? You know why? Because he don't give a shit. He doesn't care. Y'all, I really hope I'm not just here spilling all my beans to y'all and nobody else feels like that. And I feel like I don't even pressure him. I don't even say something that my parents would say of like, yeah, and thank you for asking me how I was doing today. And I feel like as kids, we thought that like our parents were like nuisances. We thought they were just assholes and just mean as hell. And it's like some of that stuff, I feel like was necessary. It was I feel like the older you get, especially the older your kids get, you realize that some of the stuff that our parents did was absolutely necessary for our growth. It gave us a sense of integrity. Okay? Meanwhile, these children are entitled. And so I want to focus on a different aspect of the Six of Pentacles, on giving and receiving, on reciprocity today, y'all. Okay? Because I feel like, we, on a spiritual level, we shouldn't hide our spiritual journey from our kids. It's important to open those doors up. I know that, spirituality, whether you're new or you've been in this thing for a minute, may kind of close it off a little bit, because we don't want the kids asking questions or whatever the case may be. I know for me personally, I'm very closed off with my spiritual practice because it's like me time. That's my me time. That's my time to be selfish, so I go in my my office meditation room and stuff, and I kind of vibe out. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to share my my private time with spirit, right? But spirit dropped something on me that is so important to open those doors, right? So the first thing that I want to talk about is ancestor veneration. So by allowing our children to see us through ancestor veneration, honor our ancestors and honor their wisdom and sharing, their stories with our children. By acknowledging our ancestors, acknowledging the roots, we instill respect and gratitude for those who came before us. And that's one way to teach our children to practice gratitude and generosity, because I feel like there was a fear element there for a lot of us growing up. Like, we had to learn how to be in gratitude, and we had to learn how to respect our parents, because we would get our ass whooped, and I don't know about you, but I grew up saying I don't want to put my hands on my kids. I don't want to put my hands on my kids. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to be beating on my kids, but we also have to find another way to discipline and to instill those things that are very, can be detrimental if they don't get those vitamins, okay? If they don't get this spiritual work, okay? And I feel like a lot of us as a generation, we don't go to church as well either. So, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, y'all. We're not even going to get on that. So anyways, allowing our children to be in the practice of ancestor veneration with us, this is going to instill that respect and gratitude for those who came before us. So another thing, maybe practicing prayer and meditation with our children, or allowing them to see us pray and meditate more openly. And it lets our children see, it lets them be a witness to these sacred practices. And this, teaches them to connect with the divine within and around us. Does that make sense? Because when I was writing down these little bullet notes or whatever for today's episode, and I wrote down prayer and meditation, I thought about times where I would see my grandma in the living room and she'll be sitting at her chair and she'll be reading the Bible. And it's like, yeah, she could have been reading the Bible in her room with the door closed, but she chose to read her Bible in the living room for all to see. And I feel like that was her trying to show us how important it was to connect with God, right? And so, teaching them through silence sometimes is going to help them to cultivate that gratitude. And that moves on to acts of service, you guys, acts of service. So encouraging our children to partake in acts of service, not just to people, but also to spirit, to the divine. It lets them see these gestures and understand the essence of giving to something beyond the material world. How, when you go to church and they feed the homeless and, things like that. That's something, I'm not saying specifically feed the homeless or whatever, but those things taught us that there are other people who are less fortunate than us. There are other people who are hungry right now. Like our parents used to say, like, oh, I don't want to eat that. That's nasty. Or I don't feel like eating that. I want to eat this. They would say, it's starving people in Africa right now. It's starving people right now in Africa, and you don't want to eat that. You better eat that food, And even though at the time it didn't seem like they were like teaching us something, they were in their own way. And so by allowing our children to witness and participate in our spiritual journey, we're guiding them towards service to spirit, to something greater than themselves, a service to God, the universe, or whatever name resonates with your beliefs. And what does this do? This helps make the world better. And I feel like in a generation where they're so focused on their inner world, they're so focused on the internet, We need to show them something outside of their world and how they can add or contribute to making the world better. Whenever I have a session with a client and they say, I want to know my purpose, what am I here for? Or they ask me, what should I do to make money? Or what should I do to start a business? I always tell them, what can you do to help someone else? What can you do to help other people? And I feel like when we base our business, when we base our, our way of making money on making the world a better place, it creates a sphere of kindness. And it's a cycle, where every act of generosity spins, a circle of compassion. And so reflecting on our past and guiding our children, it's not just pivotal, it's sacred. It's about unveiling the beauty of kindness and generosity while also embracing our spiritual connection and shaping a world that resonates with compassion and truth for all. And so something that I am going to personally be doing, you can do it with me, you can do it with me, or you don't have to. I want you to tell your kids to make Christmas gifts, no matter what it is, even if it's a letter to everybody in the house on how they feel about them, how they appreciate them. Tell them to write a letter to everybody, or if they want to, get fancy, create something. Don't let them get a hall pass because they don't have money, okay? Tell them to create something for everybody in the house. If you have, multiple children, tell them to create something for each other and most importantly, for everyone in the house. Really push them to get out of their ego, get out of the self, and focus on their outer world as much as their inner world. I hope all that made sense. That was really on my heart today to share. Thank you for joining me on this ascension journey today. Remember, the art of giving starts with understanding, compassion, and embracing our spiritual journey. This is Ashe, guiding you towards your personal ascension journey. Until next time, take care and keep ascending. Ashe.